be hunters.
Let's get battle ready. It's time.
The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that.
It's time for a new strategy.
You're all I can think of. Every drop I drink up.
We were now entering the fifth dimension of ascension. Our only intention is to take you high.
Alright, so I wanted to talk about this movie because I didn't want to watch it. I saw it, I was like, what is this kids movie? Colorful, and I'm not really a fan of K-pop either. So it really wasn't any draw for me to like look at it. It just felt really, it felt girlish. So I'm just like, ugh. It's made by the same people who made like the Spider-Verse series. So that almost like drew me in because of like the aesthetic of that. But whatever, I just one night just saw it and I was just like, all right, let me just give it a shot. Let me just see what's going on here. So it actually turned out to be pretty deep, actually. It really had like some resonance into like the topics that I'm interested in the Daimon. And for me, the first thing that came to mind was like Charlie's Angels, Powerpuff Girls. Then you go into like hip hop, like TLC, Destiny's Child. We have in like Greek mythology, like the sisters of fate, the three, Hinduism, like the Tridevi, like Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati. Yeah, there's a lot of like female trios. So like this structure just works. So when I saw it from that point of view, that's what it kind of drew me in. Like, it's the motif of like the trio has like existed long time ago. But you know, beyond all like the surface level stuff, like the meaning in the movie was really deep. So understanding the plot of the movie, it essentially breaks down to, we have the trio who essentially protects their village by performing to project this barrier between the human realm and the demon realm. So we have with that, they throughout the years always reincarnate, and we get different versions throughout the different time periods. So they show you all of this in the movie, and then we lead up all the way to the modern day where we have K-pop singers. And that's all well and cool, but then it gets to the point where we see the demon realm. It shows like, all right, there's a level of humanity, a theme that was actually in the Devil May Cry series, where we look at like these demonic like entities, these creatures, but they're actually just people, so to speak. So these people are just living their lives, and essentially they're hungry, they're starving. So we get this guy, Genu says, look, I know how to feed the great fire. I got this idea. I'm gonna make like a group, and that group is gonna harvest the attention of everybody and get the fans. So right there we get sly like connections, because the fans are what the giant flame is after. So a fan is what gives air to the fire, so it fans the flame. So we get that motif right there. Then we go beyond that. This is one giant fire, and we understand like each individual hosts a small little fire, a smokeless fire within themselves, and that smokeless fire is what we call the soul. So that is, it's played in a way that they're taking the soul and they're stripping the humans of their souls. But you can flip the narrative in a way to say, all right, these souls are going back to source. Because if we have this giant flame, so to speak, and then we have these tiny flames, then essentially this giant flame is trying to collect back pieces of itself. So you can look at it in a way to say like, all right, no, that's evil, that's bad, because you're stripping these souls. If you look at it like at the end of everyone's life, you get the chance to either reunite with Source or what you can do is branch out and reincarnate. So some people are tired of being on the wheel of samsara and they don't want to reincarnate anymore. So they reunite back with source because that's an easier thing to do. Just give way back to the source. And if you look back at the mythology from Korea, the Jinu and his band, they're the Jishung Saja. So the Saja were these Grim Reapers that brought the souls to the afterlife. It wasn't like this whole evil thing. They were just the ones who ushered in the souls to the other side. So like Shinigami, Grim Reapers, like that's all they really did. It wasn't really an evil thing. So as we go deeper into the movie, we see that the main character, Rumi, she's part demon. So her mother and her father were, you know, mixed species, mixed race, whatever you want to call it. And they created her, which she felt like she was an abomination. So she tried to hide her patterns. They actually call it patterns. So we can understand like that from a psychological point of view. Like your patterns are your behaviors that can either lead you towards good outcomes or bad outcomes. So she was shameful of that pattern, a demon hunter, and she was part demon. So you can see like the twisted psychology that she had. She thought that what she could do was, you know, put up this golden honmun, and then that would essentially save her from her patterns, and therefore she can be, you know, open and honest, and she doesn't have to be shameful about it. But we see later in the movie that Jinu was in a sense trying to expose her shamefulness, and that's what Guima was going to utilize to bring her down. So all the while she's feeling shameful, she couldn't tell any of her friends about what was going on because she felt so shameful that she was a demon. She didn't feel like they would love her or appreciate her, so she was just trying to hide it. And then that is what caused her downfall at the end, because she was so shameful by it. She was stripped of all her friends. They were removed and she had no one to protect her, so she was exposed and felt shameful about it. And then she went to try to get her foster mother to kind of absolve her of it and say, well, why don't you just finish me off? Her foster mother was just like, no, we can fix this. And she tried to even cover up her own shame about it because she felt bad that she instilled this in the girl. So it's just this endless pattern of shame and how we try to hide it. So that's the deeper message of this movie, is that this grand flame of Guima isn't actually evil, so to speak. It's just a bold way of showing you that your shame is something that's weighing you down and holding you back. So the only way through it is not to defeat the shame. They wanted to put out like this diss song called Takedown, and they wanted to use this diss song to like take down the evil. But Rumi knew, like, damn, like like internally she knew, like, oh man, like I don't really think we should be taking these demons down. Like, she met Jinu and he was like, no, he's not so bad. He was just, you know, a victim of his circumstance. And me, I'm a victim of my circumstance. And she even said, like, to Jinu, like, hey, if you can't be redeemed, then there's no way I can be redeemed. So in a sense, she started to feel like, no, maybe we shouldn't like jump on this wave of like taking the demons down. Like, we need to start incorporating them into who we are. We need to like not look at them as like this pure evil like thing. And that's my whole message, is like, we got to a point where we have this idea of a demon, and that's demonic and all, that's demon. But it comes from that older word of daimon, and the daimon is just here to reflect back to you what you need to do to grow higher. So in order to expand, you need to let go of the things you feel shameful of. And it's not that you need to just expose it and put it all out into the world, but you need to infuse it with a level of compassion. And you need to understand, like, hey, I'm not perfect. What I have is essentially just the cards that I've been dealt. And when you have compassion for yourself, that shame gets incorporated into you, and you can understand, all right, that is not the way I want to be, but I don't have to feel bad by it. I don't have to feel weighted down by it. And it transforms it, transmutes it, to use a better word. It transmutes that shame into something higher. And that's essentially all the daimon is trying to do, is trying to show you, hey, you feel bad about this, and the more you feel bad about this, the more it's going to start to break you apart. So you need to kind of work on it. And it got to a point where people started to say, that's demonic. No, I don't have to look at that. That's just you're demon. And no, it's not, nope. And then you cut that off from yourself. And this is where we have like this toxic cycle of fighting demons and feeling like we need to fight the demons. So in a sense, that's what I wanted to talk about, because that is the important message of this movie, is that you can't necessarily defeat the demons because they are you. They are a part of you. And if you can't face it, it's just going to come back and break you apart, and really break you apart until you get to a point where you can step out and be who you want to be. So that's really all I had to say about this. So if you felt some type of way, please leave a comment down. Let me know what you think, good or bad. I'm not necessarily reviewing this movie. I'm just highlighting a point that I found was valid. So if you vibe with that, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. Any engagement is welcome.
You are now entering the fifth dimension of ascension. Our only intention is to take you high.